Make the ground shake.
Hello everybody and welcome to another tank review. This time we are looking at the tier 9 French heavy tank, the MX50 120. The only thing heavy about this thing is its size and weight, because the armor is utter trash. When we look into it closely, we can see that it's 100 millimeters at the most at these zones here and the lower plate, with 90 being the upper at not a very good angle, 80 this shoulder here. So pretty much anything that will hit you, it will almost guarantee you a penetration, unless it is at some awkward ricochet zones, such as from this angle here if you get shot, but you have to get really lucky in order to bounce that. Maybe you can bounce some tier 7 medium or light tanks if they, or tier 6 lights if they are not shooting gold at you, but never ever rely on this armor because it is utter trash. The side armor at 80 is pretty okay, but since you have these shoulders and the huge turret, there is no point in that, so avoid that. So I would say sides trash, rear trash. The top of the tank only 30, so this thing is huge and it is a very big RT magnet, so be wary of that. When we compare it to the T54E1, which I'd say it is the biggest rival of of this tank, we can see that they are quite similar, even though that the American machine is classified as a medium. The biggest difference between these two is the penetration. It has to be said. I mean, it has a 47 millimeters of penetration advantage, which means that you almost never ever have to shoot gold in this tank, whereas in the T54E1, if you are facing a tier 9 or a tier 10 proper heavy tank with a very good armor such as the E100 or the IS-7, you have to load gold. You have no chance of going through them, but in this you have no issues with that. The DPM is surprisingly equal, at a slight disadvantage to the AMX here, and the reload time is slightly faster, with which is sort of surprising, but it isn't when you consider the fact that this tank, between its shells, reloads are at 3.3 seconds compared to the 2.2 of the T54E1, which makes this one of its biggest disadvantages, because it takes a whole 10 seconds to unload the full clip, which is a lot of time to be exposed in the open. And as I said, you do not have any armor in this tank, so that was that. But the reload time of the full magazine is surprisingly quick, and the ammo capacity at 40 is pretty good as well. Another thing to note is that the camo values of this thing are atrocious, one of the worst in the game, certainly worse than the T54E1. I almost all the time get spotted if I'm in a spotting distance of something. The concealment doesn't help very much. The view range at 390 is sort of average for tier 9. I mean, it could have been better if it was higher, but at 390 it is pretty much okay. The accuracy of the gun is surprisingly good at 0.34 accuracy, 0.35 accuracy, which makes this gun very effective at at sniping, and the aim time at 2.7 seconds is pretty good, which means that between the shells you actually are fully aimed and you don't have to wait, unlike the T-54E1, which has a 2.9 second aim time, and with its 2.2 reload time between the shells you have to wait if you are at a medium to long range. Surprisingly, these stats here are exactly the same on both these tanks, but this stat here is a lot worse on a vehicle full speed moving, because this tank is a lot faster in a straight line than the T-54E1 because of its higher top speed, but I will get into that in a moment. Now the biggest downside to this thing is its gun elevation. Just look at this, only 8 degrees. You really start to appreciate the gun elevation on anything after you have played this thing. I mean, it is atrocious. You will see in a couple of my games that you basically fight more for the gun elevation than the gun depression. But the gun depression at -6, it's sort of manageable, it has to be said. The turret traverse and the hull traverse are pretty okay at 32. They could be better, but you will never get flanked by a medium. The power to weight at 16.6 is extremely good for heavy, and it has an amazing top speed of 65. Don't expect to reach this on a flat ground. You will only get up to 50-55 tops, but when you're going downhill, this thing leaves even medium tanks for dust. The soft terrain stats are sort of worse, which makes the mobility of these two tanks almost equal, and the hit points at 1750, it's exactly the same, but since this is a heavy, this is the lowest amount of hit points for a heavy tank in a tier 9 battle. If you look into the equipment that you can use, I would certainly go with a vertical stabilizer. That's a must. And for the other two, it's up to you. If you want a full-on support, you could go with vents and gun laying drive. But since this thing it has that long reload time between the shells, I've swapped the gun laying drive for coated optics. And if you want a full sniping experience, you can switch out the vents for gun laying drive. Every option is viable and has its pros and cons. I've gone with this setup, and that I think that it suits me the best. Now, since this thing doesn't get set on fire frontally, strong coffee is probably a good idea, but I never use those consumables, so I would go with a automatic fire extinguisher, but that is up to you. So it is a viable option, and a repair kit and a first aid kit. For crew skills, for the commander, now this thing doesn't have a loader. That is shared between the commander, gunner, and radio operator. So for the commander, since it has huge responsibilities and very important perks, I would firstly go with Sixth Sense and repairs. Those two are a very must. After that, you can either go with recon, I have that, and brothers in arms for all of the other. Since this tank is all about releasing that burst more effectively, smooth ride and snapshot are pretty viable options and almost a must on this tank. Getting back to the gunner, I would consider getting probably Deadeye, because You do crit a lot of tanks because there are 4 shells and you want to have that extra advantage at setting them on fire or blowing them up. For the driver or for driving, clutch braking, either one is viable, but I would go with off-road driving. And for the radio operator, I would go with safe storage, repairs, and situational awareness. Anyway guys, enough of the theory crafting, let's get into some game. And here we are in the game. It's a standard battle on the new Karelia map, the redesigned one. It's a very good matchup for me, only 3 tier 9s. Now the position I am about to use is very effective if you can get there fast, and as you saw there, the MX on a downhill reached its top speed very easily, and it's throttling along around 50 kph on the flat ground. I am fully loaded, and now I do spot the E50, and now the real struggle for gun elevation begins. Just look at how much I am fighting more with the gun elevation than the E50. I mean, now I put 2 shots in him, and now I don't have enough gun elevation. I don't want to waste my shots, and I missed the 3rd one. He rolls into my gun, and that's fine by me. Very good first clip, 3 out of 4, but I've wasted a third of my health. But I think it was worth it. I mean, I stopped the E50 from getting into a hyper aggressive early spotting position, which could have been fatal for my team. Now I am reloading, and I am willing to let the IS-3 go past to take a few hits. I mean, he has the armor, so he can do it against a Panther 88 or a T-34-3. I do track the T-34-3 in the open. He shoots me with HE for some reason. Put the 2nd shot in, and I ammo at the T-34, the Panther 88, sorry, and now I do have a sort of a lag here with my internet connection, and luckily I managed to put the last shot into the Tiger 1. So already, with only 3 minutes past, and I'd say 1 minute of driving, I managed to rack up around 3k damage. Again, I'm on the reload, so I did try to put a shot into that Borsig, but he went into cover. I am hesitating here. I think that I should go for the Leo, but he will have some support from the sniping TD, so I will have none of him, and I think it's too risky to go for the E50 because he can shoot me. But now that I see that he is fighting the I6, I think that I can get down there quite easily and probably take him out. But luckily the I6 takes good care of him. I do have 4 shots remaining, and I put 1 into the IS, fall back quickly, somehow bounce on his commander's hatch, and the IS-3 fired, again bouncing from his turret. How lucky can he be? And now aiming for the top of the IS-3 and bouncing him as well. That was a very ineffective clip that had the potential to rape everything, but sadly nothing happened. Again on the reload. The great thing about this reload is that the enemies sort of forget about you. I mean, when you fall back for 30 and a bit seconds, they have other things that are more worrying, and when you come out you just rape them if you time your shots. I see that the IS-3 just fired, and I will go at him. I put 1 shot, I do low roll, Second shot, again low roll, and this is unbelievable. Again the hyper low roll, just not enough to kill him, but I put the shot into the SU-152, which is enough to make this clip very useful, even though it's TikTok RNG, it wasn't lived up to its fullest. Again on the reload, and we do have a full HP T-32. The IS-3 puts a shot into the IS, and he's still a 2-shot from me, unfortunately. But now I am reloaded. The T-32 fires. The IS-3 shoots at the IS, I don't know why, but I take out the T-32 and the IS shoots me, but doesn't matter since he didn't kill me, and that puts me up to 6,000 damage. I mean, you can see the potential of this thing if the enemy just doesn't focus you. You have 1,600 damage every 45 seconds, and that's insane. If played right, this tank can rape everything in its path, even tier 10s. I do have shots on the VK. I outrun him, and again another low roll. I don't believe this. And I will try to put a shot into the Leo, and I take him out as well. We have one shot, and I will try to put it into this AMX here, but the gun didn't let me down. The AMX sort of moved, and that was the last shot of the game I would take. The AMX will get taken out by the time I get there, unfortunately. Let's look into the post-battle results. And these are the post-battle results of the second game. As you can see, I managed to get Ace Tanker combined with some other tokens. And from the Battle Hero medals, I managed to pick up Confederate and High Caliber for the huge amount of damage that I've been able to do. If you look into the team score, we can see that we did finish on top on experience with 1,477, 7,500 damage done, and 4 kills. Some of the kills I did roll on some shots, but and that denied me the kills, but that was that. I did get taken out by the MX 5120. I forgot to mention it in the game, which was sort of unlucky, but the game was already won and I didn't care at that point. I did fire 25 shots, 23 hit and 20 penetrated. Those 3 unlucky bounces on the IS and the IS-3 were really annoying and should have been damaging shots, but that's RNG for you. I did damage 11 vehicles, which makes around 3/4 of the enemy team, which is quite a lot, and destroyed 4 of them. I think it's time to get into the second game. And this is the second game of this review. It's a standard battle on El Haluf. The matchmaking isn't so favorable this time around.
Let's get this show on the road.
I am into a tier 10 matchup, but it's only 3 tier 10, 4 tier 10s. It's not that bad. Since there are 2 artillery in this game, at the beginning, as always, I don't even try to do anything other than play passive, because if I get in the open, I will get shot for probably 2/3 of my health, so I will stay back. Now you saw the speed of the MX 5120 there, going downhill. Nothing can match it, not even some medium tanks. Now the bad thing about this kind of a matchup is that you do rely on your tier 10s more, and our tier 10s went to the wrong flank, as you can see, with the bad jet and the object being around the J6 area, which makes them pretty useless there, but I can't do anything about it. I do spot the T-54, but he doesn't spot me back. The SA takes a hyper aggressive spot, but he knows that he has cover from me, and that can work, but I rarely use it because I almost never get support from my team. It's extremely risky, but I'm there for my teammate. The thing is, where he is now, he is open to artillery fire, and that is pretty damn bad. I do spot the MX-51 with two shots. The artillery shots him and I take him out. I don't go anywhere, try to put a shot on the T-54, and he was well angled and I bounced. Out of 4 shots, 3 penetrated. The last one was just a kill secure, which means that it was only 26 damage, but I've taken out a very important tank, and now I am on the reload, and after 30 or so seconds get back to my position and probably do the same if the enemy are stupid enough to go there. See, the T-54, he wasn't fully in cover and he paid the price with that. He just got two-shotted by our RT. I do spot the SDA and I track him there and do put a second shot, bounce on his gun mantlet and a third shot in. Now we have side shots on the mouse and I bounce. Since he is taking a very RT safe position and he has to be dealt with reasonably fast, I am willing to load an APCR clip and probably risk my life to take him out, just so he has a load of HP and our tier 10s are nowhere near him, so this is up to me now. I am almost fully loaded, and I will just say it here and now, this is the greatest takeout or mouse you can get. I do put one shot into him and kaboom! 2 shots, a mouse. That was where the Deadeye perk really helped. I think 3000 HP in 2 shots, not even an RT can say that, or even the AV tank destroyers. The T-54 E1 is now on the reload and I decided to help him, but I did not saw the E50 there, and I do a scramble for cover, but there are these 2 guys here, but the Jagdpanzer fired and I will take out the level. The T-69 bounces my ass and I put 1 shot, 2 shots into the Jagdpanzer and the last one takes him out. Another great clip for this tank. Almost 6000 damage in what, 5 minutes. I can't deny that I got lucky with the mouse, but it wasn't bad either. I did what I had to do. Now, since the E50 will get taken out, I do try to prioritize this bad shot, but he will get away from the STA to STA1, and sniping a bad shot is really hard. Plus, I ran out of gun elevation as per usual, and I decided to go down. Now, here I aim, out aim, and I just shot him when he was already on very low HP. The 75 is in cover. Here I think I made a mistake. I mean, I should have pushed earlier, and now again, look at that gun elevation. Waiting for the STA1 to spot the MX-5120. I struggle again for the gun elevation. Out aim on him. Luckily hit him and hit him again. as you heard there, and he got taken out. That's now 6.3k damage and 1%, so that's 6.7k. I am on 5 kills, I'm 1 kill away from a top gun. I can trade with the T69 as well, but I fear that he might get taken out before I get there, since I do have around 10 seconds of reload left, and he isn't even focusing me. It doesn't really matter, the badger shoots him, and when I shoot him he's only just 200 HP. That was my last shot of the game. Let's look into the post-battle results. And here are the post-battle results of the El Haluf game. As you can see, I've managed to get an ace tanker combined with some other tokens. From the battle hero medals, I've got Top Gun and High Caliber, which in a tier 10 game, in a tier 9 tank, is pretty good. When we look into the team score, we can see that we did finish on top on experience with almost 1500 base experience, which is quite a lot, and give or there 7000 damage with 6 kills, which is insanely good even a tier 10 tank, but a tier 9 in a unfavorable matchup is pretty good. And if we look into the detailed results, we can see that we fired 19, hit 18 and penned only 15, but that was due to RNG, I think, mostly. 900 damage out of our 7000 was around 300 from more than 300 meters. We did receive 4 hits, 3 penned, 1 bounce, that lucky bounce on the T69, but that is to be expected. As I said, this tank has almost no armor, and we even did some assistance damage at 1000. Anyway guys, this was my take on the AMX 5120. Hope you enjoyed this review, and bye for now.